thank you for, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
You can. So thank you first of all, thank you for inviting me here. I would like to thank Andres. This is my first time in Riga and in this conference, and it looks very nice and a lot of attendance. I would like to talk to you about a subject which is going around the main subject, main theme of subject, which is in this conference. This is IT cybersecurity, but I want to attack it from a different angle and talk about SCADA cybersecurity. And what I'm going to show you is that there are many similarities and many things that are different. So the paradox of industrial digitization, that's a mouthful. It took me some time to rehearse it. But let's see what it's all about. This is the slide that talks about the paradox. So more and more in the past 10, 15, 20 years, industrial networks, industrial SCADA networks require, provide more and more visibility, require more and more visibility into the IT network. They do it and they add services to it, like industrial cloud services, which are just starting to emerge. You need it for predictive maintenance. You don't want to fix a valve after it's broken, you want to fix it ahead. You need it for real-time billing, you need it for many, many aspects. You need all the information that's out there in your SCADA network, in your industrial network. The problem is that when you connect to the IT network, when you connect to the world, the problem is that you also exposed the OT network to all sorts of dangers that they are not equipped to handle. They were never designed to handle it. Now you can see OT networks affected with malware. They never knew about malware before. Remote control attacks, very dangerous. Ransomware. And it doesn't even have to be dedicated to an OT system. The ransomware can just find its way to your operational system, to your engineering workstation, and shut your systems down. The sender didn't mean to shut your system down, but it's just came to be there. And your systems, especially the industrial control systems, are not really equipped to handle this. So this is the paradox. You want to increase the visibility of your OT network into the IT world. You want more and more services and more optimization that can be handled of it. But by doing that, you also expose it to all sorts of dangers that comes with the IT, that the IT network and the IT environment learned for the past 10, 20 years to handle. And they do it very well with patching and all other sorts of mechanisms which are simply not very relevant to the OT environment. So where did it start from? Up till 5, 10 years ago, everyone agreed that OT and IT are completely different. They had different people which are doing that. OT people were completely separate. These are engineers that are concerned with safety and reliability of their equipment. They are completely different skill set from IT people. Different technology, obviously. You're talking about different protocols that they are handled. Nobody in the IT world ever heard about OPC or Modbus. They don't deal with that. And the needs are completely different. IT mainly cares about virtual assets, protecting virtual assets, protecting your data. GDPR, this is what is a recurring thing. In the OT world, we are less concerned with the GDPR, but more with the NIST directive that just came in right after the GDPR in May this year, which deals with protecting critical infrastructure from cyber attacks. So for OT professionals, the whole concept, the whole focus of them is to protect physical assets. If somebody asked me once, what's the difference between an IT and an OT professional? IT comes to the office dressed like me. OT comes to the office with a helmet. They're not afraid of somebody stealing their data. They're afraid of something blowing up. It's a completely different set of state of mind. So everyone agreed that cyber attacks on IT are completely different from OT. And we had one big example for it, Stuxnet. Stuxnet was the founding father of ICS attacks. This is where this is where, you know, the idea sunk that something that happens in the virtual world, a malware, a software, can make a physical damage to an equipment. This is where it sunk. But ever since Stuxnet, this is 2018 now, end of 2018, we are still talking about Stuxnet that happened 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Ever since then, there were maybe Triton or maybe 1 or 2 more OT-specific attacks. But most of the damage that was done until now was done through regular IT attacks that the OT environment was simply not ready to handle. So they did agree that OT attacks require a different set of skills, a different set of technologies. And they were typically nation-state oriented, or originated, sorry. And they are rare. People also changed, but ever since. We see more and more convergence between IT and OT professionals. We see new roles. At CISO level, this is relatively a new function in an organization. I don't think it was there 5, 10 years ago. A guy that his responsibility spans over both IT and OT security. These are new roles that never existed before, and we start seeing them in the last 5, 10 years. People also are now, you know, migrating between IT and OT more. Still, you'll find OT people very suspicious. They will never let an IT guy typically near their systems. But you see, you know, some movement of people between. There is more understanding between the two different factions. And there is also an involvement in regulation. If 8, 10 years ago, most of the cyber regulation had to do with nuclear, with the nuclear vision. But, you know, it started there. This had the strictest cybersecurity regulation, and for good reason. But ever since then, everybody came to understand that the threat does not only apply to nuclear. And you see that the regulation as well started to go from nuclear to regular electric power, to water treatment facilities, to petrochemical, to oil and gas, railway system, airports. Everything is considered a critical infrastructure today. Even a smart building, if you talk about thousands of people and you control their elevators or their air conditioning system, this also can be considered as a critical infrastructure today. And you see it going into Industry 4.0 for the smart manufacturing of tomorrow. And also technology changed. There is a movement of ICS technology into the IT realm. A lot of the OT networks run on TCP/IP, protocol with regular IT infrastructure, using, you know, still their own legacy protocols. Many systems use regular standard protocols and standard databases. We have industrial customers that use Oracle or MySQL as their database. They don't necessarily use a specific industrial database, and there are many of those. So the technology has also shifted. All this came to another shift, the shift in cyber attacks. So not only the good side has changed, also the bad side. There is a convergence in IT and OT cyber attacks. And at the end of the day, regular cyber attacks are the major threat. If you look at it, the regular cyber attacks, regular IT-oriented cyber attacks are the major threat to industrial networks as well. If you look at malware like WannaCry, NotPetya, they are affecting shipping companies, affecting industrial processes, not because they were meant to do that, but because nobody stopped them. These systems were not meant to deal with that kind of attack. There is a very good example. It happened in, I think, upstate New York, I'm not sure, in a water treatment facility, where a hacker went into the IT system just wanting to steal some credit card information, I guess, or something. He didn't mean, of course, he didn't mean to have a ICS type attack. When he was, roaming around the system, he found a file. He didn't know what it was doing. He opened it. He clicked it. He didn't do anything. He went out of it and continued his search for money. What he did actually was change the configuration of the chemical treatment of the water, basically poisoning it. Now you have additional safety features there, like additional filters that prevented a disaster from happening. But this goes to show you that you don't need an intent to attack an industrial network. All you need is the ability, the capability to do that. OT attacks are more and more going through IT networks before they go into the OT network. This is what we're seeing. Ransomware, just ransomware, can shut down your factory, can shut down your power plant. They didn't mean to, but if it found its way into your operational system, it will shut it down. Now, what do you do with that? So we are coming to the conclusion, slowly but surely. How about, I'm good with time. That the attacks are same, or same, but they're different. Because the type of the attacks may be the same, the originating source sometimes may be the same, but the consequences are certainly not the same. If you talk about consequences of ransomware on IT network, the corporate loses some money, you lose some time. Typically, if you're smart, you have everything on backups and you restore everything for backups and you're up and running again within an hour. Sometimes 2 hours or half an hour. This is certainly not the case in an OT system. If something breaks in your power plant or something breaks in your water treatment facility or your railway signaling system, implications are much worse than a 1 hour loss of time. This can be, first of all, loss of life. But even if you just talk about the business aspect, this can be a downtime of months, not of hours, because there is no backup for a faulty turbine or something that just blew up. So the consequences to the same attack are much worse on the OT side. Most attacks are not Stuxnet. This brings us to see the following. So we're talking about IT and OT attacks that are being, going into the same direction. The question is, do we handle it in the same way in the OT side, in the SCADA side, in the industrial side, the same way that we do for the IT side? I don't think so. Firewalls, which is the standard for IT protection, their security is based on software. Software can be hacked all the time. Software has bugs in it. If you want to know how many bugs, go to your firewall vendor, look at their security update page and see how many they released last month. And you know how much they're typically going. So it has bugs. It is also configured by people, and people make mistakes, and sometimes these mistakes become security issues. And while this is a perfectly good solution and acceptable in the IT network, because at the end of the day, IT network, firewalls protect devices like my laptop. Very secure devices, relatively running the latest Windows, keep getting antivirus updates. This is not the case in OT systems. OT systems are typically running legacy, ancient systems, Windows XP and older, not supported, not patched, much more vulnerable. So you can't use the same means to protect your IT and your OT environment. We don't think it's the right way to go. IT security, IT is fundamentally different than OT security because it protects different things. IT protects data, OT protects safety and security. The results, again, are unacceptable in the OT side, while they're not very acceptable, but has much less effect on the IT side. So we need to decide what to do with this, with all this. We are focusing on, we need to understand that the SCADA security, the SCADA security way of looking at things needs to focus on controls and safety. You cannot allow a remote control attack on your SCADA network. You cannot allow somebody using your keyboard and mouse on your HMI. There are movies like that that were clipped in the Ukraine attack, that people basically see the operator and his mouse is moving on the screen. Nobody touches anything. Somebody's doing it from afar. You can't allow that in the OT environment. There are many, many, many vulnerabilities in the ICS environment. They were never designed to be connected to the outside world. They were designed to be isolated, air-gapped. By the way, if you think you're air-gapped, forget about it. There is no air-gap anymore, if there ever was. Even if you think you have an air-gap, but you have an engineer coming into your office with his laptop connecting to your system, you don't have an air-gap. And we need to understand the differences in the way IT and OT are handling things, antivirus, patches. This is how IT works. IT is used to getting a problem and solving it. You know, let's patch. OT will tell you, yes, we have a slot in August 19, and we have 200 things that we need to do. We'll add it as thing number 201. There is no patching in OT. It doesn't occur on a regular basis like it does on a daily basis in IT. So we need to take other measures. This brings me to where I work. And a few words about Waterfall, and then about what we suggest to do about that. So Waterfall, we're a cybersecurity firm. We focus only on OT cybersecurity, not on IT cybersecurity. We are based out of Israel, alongside hundreds of other cybersecurity companies, but nobody's doing what we do. We've been founded more than 10 years ago, so we've been doing that for the past 11 years or so, way before ICS cybersecurity even became a term. We've been dealing with that. We have something like 1,000 sites installed worldwide in all types of critical infrastructure, and a lot of partners. And we are dealing with all these sectors: electric power, oil, gas, water, railway, pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, you name it. All of them, they have a need for solutions like that. And basically what we are saying is, you need to protect your system. But instead of connecting the outside world to your system, instead of connecting the IT into your SCADA devices, we took another approach. Two other approaches, basically. First of all, we decided to base our security on hardware, not on software. This is the reason, I don't know if it's very small, but our logo says Waterfall's stronger than firewalls. It has a reason, it's not just a marketing thing. We took a decision to base our security on hardware, on physics, not software. So we will, instead of connecting the IT network to your SCADA network over VPNs and firewall, we will take your network, we will take your SCADA server, we'll take your historian, we'll take your database, and we will replicate it over a unidirectional gateway. I'll go over what it is in a minute. We'll replicate it from the OT environment to the IT environment. Now you have all your information that you need, full monitoring, everything is available on the IT side. Everybody that needs access to it will access it on the IT side. Nobody ever touches the OT side. OT side, these are our crown jewels. This needs to continue to work flawlessly, and this needs to have as minimum disturbance as possible, both for business, but also for safety reasons. And we did that. We have three different lines that are taking measures to this. First one is the industrial security. This is our, of the 1,000 sites I told you we installed, 80–90% are based on that. And this basically talks about IT-OT integration. We want to break the kill chain. What we do is we don't replace all the firewalls in your organization. We just replace one, the one that is in the middle between IT and OT. And this is how we break the kill chain. This is how we break any attack from entering the industrial network from the outside world. Other product lines that we have is talking with the industrial cloud. It's something that we see more and more. The industrial IoT, we call it Cloud Connect, and we also have a forensics tool that is very, essential. Let's talk about the main thing. So this is the concept. This is what we're doing. This is the Unidirectional Security Gateway. If you have your industrial network here, you have your corporate network here, you have your users here or third-party vendors from outside there that need to connect to this industrial database or server. Instead of giving these guys VPN over firewall access directly to the server, what we'll do is we'll take this server and we'll replicate it in real time to the IT environment. Now, all these guys can access it from wherever they want, but they only access it here. This stays out of the game. And by using the unidirectional gateway, we make sure, on a physical way, and I'll explain how, that if there is a compromise on this network, the attack stays here. You have your IT response team. You have all the firewalls you want to protect yourself here. But if something happens here, the only thing that you lose is data. Data have backups, both here and here. But we make sure that no attack goes beyond and propagates into the industrial side. And the way that we do it is we have a device which has a software part to it, just a host, PC, with our agents installed on it. We have developed around 100 agents to match most of, I would say 95% of the industrial implication. This is, let's see. This is just a quick look at some of our protocols. You see all the OPC to all their kinds, Modbus, ICCP, Historian database, GE, Schneider, OSIsoft, you name it. So we'll connect to your network, we'll extract all the data, we'll pass it through the unidirectional hardware. Now the hardware this is where the security part is taking place. The TX module is a very secure device, no moving parts, no CPU, no IP address, no operating system. It's just FPGAs that can take the data and push it over fiber from TX to RX. So we have a laser here and a photocell here. But the chipset, where the laser is here, only contains the laser. Physically, there is no photocell. On this side, there's only photocell. Physically, there is no laser. So on the very physical layer, there's not a single photon that can travel from here to here, not a single bit of information. There is no backdoor. There is no way around it. It's physics. Any attack that happens here stays here. This continues to work. That's the whole idea. So I went over that. I can give you more details later. Cloud Connect, where we see many people are starting to want, mainly in the US, but we see it worldwide. They want to connect their infrastructure to the cloud. And cloud also means big data analytics and a lot of preventive maintenance. The problem with the cloud are two major problems. First of all, interoperability. Typical clouds today do not really speak industrial protocols. They don't know OPC. Second is security. You don't want to connect your critical site to the internet or to a cloud. We developed this device based on the same unidirectional technology where we connect to your site, collect all the industrial data, convert it to a cloud-friendly protocol, and we work with all major cloud providers, Azure, AWS, PTC. We convert it, we pass it through the unidirectional gateway and publish it on your cloud. Now you'll have all your industrial information. You can do whatever you want with it. Use it for SIEM, SOC application, and more. And you're still secure for anything ever getting back into your system. I'll skip the forensics things because I think I'm getting too late. But I want to talk about some use cases. So we're talking about IT and OT converging, but we are also doing these cooperations in the real world. Coming from the IT environment, most of you know of FireEye, I guess. It's a very IT-centric company. But they only do IT. They have, even if they do have industrial customers today, OT people will not allow them near their systems. So we went on and had a collaboration with FireEye, where we integrated our unidirectional gateway with their systems, basically enabling the customer to get a unified look of all their system. The CISO can now have the same dashboard for their IT and OT environment using the FireEye system, and we enable pulling all the information from the OT world by using our unidirectional gateway. So all the OT engineers are happy. They're not compromised. They can get all their data out there to the FireEye cloud or to the FireEye services. And this is how it looks like in real life. You get a dashboard where not only you get all your IT threats on it, but you can also get all your OT threats as well. You can also get some OT notification about the level of fuel in a tank or the whatever. Everything can be happening, and everything can be shown on one screen. I'm rushing through this. You'll find those later on, I guess, and obviously I'm here today. You can talk with me. But this is the idea. 2 minutes. Let's try to do it in 1. So this is where we're going to. Attack capabilities only increase all the time. We need to increase our security, especially in the critical part of the table. For IT threats, where it is acceptable for ransomware to affect somewhere, it's not nice, it's not good, but it's acceptable. The risk is acceptable for ransomware to affect your IT network. It is not an acceptable risk within your OT network. So we can't handle it after the fact. We need to prevent it. We need to avoid any risk of anything getting into your OT system. And this is what we are trying to do. We need to control the information flow. These 3 words that I want to leave you with, nothing is secure. It's the 3 laws of SCADA Security that were done by our VP of Industrial Security. Nothing is secure. All software can be hacked, and it is hacked on a daily basis. And every bit of information can be an attack. Even if you send 1 bit, it can be the difference between on and off. Highly recommended book here. I have some copies with me if somebody wants to learn more about SCADA cybersecurity and how it's different from regular cybersecurity. But since I only have a few books, if you want more, you can leave me your details. I'll have it sent to you. That's all I have for you. Did I make it on time?
Oh, yeah, you did it. Thank you. Okay. Do we have questions for Motty Slomovitz? You can raise your hand. There's a microphone. Okay. Now, one personal favor, if you will. Some of the guys who are watching are indeed IT security specialists and CEOs, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. Some of them are policymakers. Some of them are, So could you elaborate a little bit, just to be absolutely clear, on SCADA, OT, those things? Well,
what are they?
Yes, yes, exactly. Because OT, we IT guys, we are being technical.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes it needs to be
I'm the exception in this conference. That's good. So OT in general stands for operational technology. It's like IT is information technology. OT stands for operational technology. It has a lot of pumps, valves, PLCs, machines that you can actually see and touch, unlike bits that you can...
good one. Well, yeah. Thank you.
SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. I'm surprised I remember that. It also talks about all those devices. You have a lot of SCADA protocols, which are, IT professional will never hear about.
Yeah.
Specific protocols. You need, in these types, you have specific databases. They are called historians. You need to collect a huge amount of data. In some cases, every few milliseconds, for pressure, for pump, you need to collect it and you need to store it somewhere in a way that it can be reached in very quickly, because if something goes wrong, you need to be aware of it immediately. Okay. So there are a lot of systems that are going around this, which are unique to the industrial phase. You will never find it in an IT environment. And these systems are very vulnerable because initially they were never meant to be connected to the outside world. Yeah. Some of them were developed 30, 40 years ago. And they were meant to be a standalone. If you look at critical infrastructure, We are providing, Waterfall is providing the cyber perimeter, but we are providing it for, typically for critical infrastructure where you have a physical perimeter. If you look at any critical infrastructure today, you have a fence and a guard, probably a gun and a dog. If you go to your office, maybe a guard, probably not a gun, not a dog for sure. So there is no
door chips, passwords.
Yeah, but that's not really a physical security, a physical perimeter. So most of the sites that we protect has a physical perimeter in it. They also need, and they didn't need in the past. They didn't used to need a cyber security perimeter because there was no such threat. As the first slide said, the more services you expect to get, the more optimization you expect to gain out of your industrial systems, you need to connect them to the outside world. It can happen on the remote side, but the more you connect it, the more you're threatening it, and they are not equipped to handle it.
Right. I would like to thank you for your presentation. I very much expect you to be at my panel at 1:30 p.m. on this very stage. Okay. So we can talk about more of that, and people could ask questions, etc. about this. Good one. Thank you. Thank you. Nice applause.